All right, thanks for tuning in. Let's talk. Welcome to the second episode. I'm your host, Elena Lau, real estate broker and CEO of Union Real Estate. And I had the pleasure today to have Faiza Chaudhry, Executive Director and Attorney at O'Connell Law, who will be speaking with us about the importance of estate planning shortly. Let's start. Today, we're taking a look at how the housing market is performing weekly, more specifically for the week 2 of May. In terms for the single-family market, we have 192 homes sold, which is a decrease of about 29% from last year, with an average day of 37 days in the market and an average sale price of $860,000, which is about a 2.4% increase from last year. As you can see from these graphics, the number of sold listings is continuing to increase despite the pandemic. And it's also selling in shorter days. Plus, we are seeing a positive outlook in pricing. In terms for the condominium market, we have 116 condos sold this past week, which is a decrease of 52% from last year, compared to last year. An average day of 35 days with an average sale price of $650,000, which is noting a decrease of about 18% compared to last year. This graphic demonstrates that the number of sold condominiums week after week is still going through an upward trend, selling in a shorter time frame, just like the single family, with a flattening effect on the pricing. Today, I also want to share with you about the impact of COVID-19 to real estate showings in Massachusetts. As you can see from the graphic, since the stay-at-home order on week 3 in March, showing started to slow down. But in the most recent week, we're experiencing an increase of significant jump in showing requests, about 77.4% increase from last week. There is a high demand for housing, but as I mentioned before, there is a persistent decline in inventory as sellers continue to put a pause on their sale in response to COVID-19. As the states are allowing businesses to reopen since this Monday, May 18, the unemployment rate will start lowering. So it's promising that the housing market will start to sprung again. With that, I would like to put out there to potential home sellers and agents out there. So if you are thinking of selling or high listing coming out soon in the following criteria, please let me know, as I have clients looking for this type of home. Multifamily up to 1.2 million in the Cambridge, Somerville, Dorchester, and East Boston area, and single family 4+ bedroom, 3+ bathrooms up to 1 million in the Dover, Sherborne, and Hopkinton area. Updated condition preferred. So this is what I got today for housing market update. And then now I would like to ask Faiza to join us. As a way to introduce her, Faiza is the Executive Director and Attorney at O'Connell Law, and she is the expert of estate planning. She received her Bachelor of Arts degree in 2006 in political science and legal study from the University at Buffalo. And in 2009, she received her Juris Doctor degree from the New England School of Law. Welcome, Faiza.
Oh, thank you so much, Elena, for that warm and lovely introduction. It's truly my pleasure to be here, and I'm so excited to talk about something that I not only obviously do for a living, but I truly am passionate about it because, as the slide says, it's just so important for everyone to do estate planning and have their documents in place. Especially, I think, we'll dive right into why, especially during current situation, it's so important. So first thing right off the bat, what is estate planning? I sometimes have clients reaching out to me and saying they want to have a will in place and they don't need estate planning. And actually they don't understand is that a will is estate planning. Estate planning, what the term means is that it's a plan that you have in place in regards to what you would want to happen to your things if you can no longer take care of them, if you're incapacitated and sick, or who's going to get those things once you pass away. The next question people sometimes have for me is, do I even have an estate? Do I need to do estate planning? And I ask them the questions, do you have real estate? Do you have a bank account? Do you have a retirement account? Even do you have jewelry? Do you have furniture, a car? If you answer yes to any of these things, then you have an estate, and it would be a very good idea for you to do estate planning. So what if you pass away and you have assets in your name alone? What happens then? Your loved ones, your family would have to go through what we call probate. It's a court process that people go through if their loved one has passed away and have assets in their name alone. It has a very negative tone to it, and the reason why people don't like it is because right off the bat, it's extremely expensive. There's attorney fees involved, there's court fees involved. You're dealing with the bureaucracy of the court, so there's delays, it's time consuming, it's a headache for your family members. So, what can we do to make probate easier?
Right. So my question is like, say that something happens to me and my spouse and I don't have a will, like what will happen to my kids?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that in a second, but definitely the first thing that it's so important is you have to have a will. And the reason why it's so important to have a will is, if you go to the next slide, Elena, I will talk about the importance of having a will. So the reason why a will is so important is because it names personal representative. This in our state is what we call an executor. It means exactly the same thing. The will also will talk about who will inherit. It also names guardian for your minor children. And it also names remote beneficiary. So it gets rid of that guesswork. So in regards to your question, Elena, what happens if you pass away and something happens to your spouse and you have young children? As a young mom myself, these thoughts always come into your mind. The court is the entity that will make that decision in regards to who your kids are going to live with and who's going to be taking care of them day in and day out. They will see the situation and they will decide. And it may or may not be who you agree, who would be the person that you agree with. So I always say that it's just so important for you to make that decision.
Good to know.
So yeah, so just kind of summarizing what we just talked about is the will is the only legal document where you can list who you would want to take care of your child, name a guardian for them. Your children, our children are our most valuable assets, and it's so important to make sure that they're taken care of. So that's a huge reason why, especially young parents, every young parent should have a will.
Right. Well, this is good information because not everybody wants to talk about this what if, but I think this will help ease up the transition if something happens.
Definitely. It's definitely difficult things to think about. And I always say, no one's going to take care of your children better than you. So you have to hold your nose. It's a stinky decision. So hold your nose and choose the least stinkiest option. And you're going to have peace of mind knowing that at least it's someone you chose, as opposed to someone who you don't know, a random judge out there deciding for you. So the next thing is, so we just talked about what happens when you pass away, but what happens if you get sick? And the first question that comes to people's minds and they ask us is, what happens if I get sick? Who's going to take care of my assets? You know, who's going to take care of my properties? Who's going to pay my bills and write my checks on my behalf? You know, who's going to manage my investments? You know, right now, like stocks are going down, the market is up and down. Who is going to make sure that your investments are properly managed? And it is your power of attorney, the agent that you name in there. The agent is the person who would step in and take care of your finances on your behalf, for your behalf, if you're unable to. So the great thing about a power of attorney is that you also get to name backups. So if that first person you've named, which for most married couples, it's spouse. If spouse is not available, then who is the backups? The second important thing that we all need to talk about is what happens if you're so sick and you cannot speak and make medical decisions on your behalf, for your behalf? Who are the doctors going to be speaking with to make medical decisions for you? And that is your healthcare proxy agent. In Massachusetts, it's only your agent who can make those decisions. And in the state, your agent is not automatically your spouse or automatically your child unless they are specifically named in your healthcare proxy.
Wow, that's a very important information. So can you tell me what will happen if I have to go to the hospital and I don't have a healthcare proxy and not able to sign? Then what happens?
Great question. So, and the key point right there is that you're not able to sign, because if you're able to sign, so right now, I know for a fact that anyone that's going into the hospital for whatever reason they need to go into it for, the first question they're asking is, do you have a healthcare proxy? If you say no, then they're going to have you quickly sign a very simple one-page document naming at least one person. But if you're going to the hospital and you're not able to sign, so in this state, the family has to petition the court in order to be named guardian, so that that guardian is able to step in and make those medical decisions on your behalf. So in a stressful situation, it becomes extremely more stressful for family members, and it's extremely expensive. And it's so unnecessary when there's such an easy solution out there, which is having a healthcare proxy. If it's a life or death situation, there's not enough time to get a court involved and be named an agent, then the doctors will just do whatever they can to keep you alive. And what they're doing may not be what you would personally want done or what your family would want done. So I always say that if you have the power and control to name the person you trust, you should do that.
Right, why wait, right? Especially
Why wait?
if you are in such a deciding moments.
Yes, definitely. So this was a very quick presentation, but estate planning, why is it so important? Why am I so passionate about it? And it is because life is so unpredictable. Everything may seem calm, these are difficult topics. No one wants to think about it. No one wants to talk about it, because you want to always assume that everything is going to be how it is now. But more than ever, coronavirus has come and it has really just turned our lives upside down, even from a couple months ago, from the life we were living. So estate planning has really just come to the forefront. So many people have reached out, asking us questions. And, I really cannot emphasize this enough, but the basic estate planning documents, wills, power of attorney, and healthcare proxy, they really just bring people peace of mind in a time where there's so much unknown and unpredictability. In a time where you feel like you don't have that much in your control, having these documents really puts a lot of control back with you, because you're the one that's naming the guardian for your children. God forbid if something happened to you and spouse. You're the one naming who's going to be taking care of your financial assets if you're not able to take care of them, even if it's for a temporary time span. You want to make sure that spouse can legally step in and take care of those things for you. And also, so important, more than really ever, and one of probably the most important document nowadays because of coronavirus is having a healthcare proxy, because in Massachusetts, it's only the healthcare proxy agent that can make medical decisions for you on your behalf, for your behalf.
Do this documentation have any expiration date?
Great question. So wills, there's no expiration date. You can update them, of course, but let's say you never update your will for the rest of your life. Well, it will still work, and it will work in all 50 states. Healthcare proxies and power of attorneys, technically they are also valid forever. I say that in quotation marks because what we always say is that sometimes institutions will say that these documents are too old, they have become stale, and according to their own personal legal requirements, they cannot accept it. So for this reason, we always encourage our clients at O'Connell Law to at least redate those and re-sign their documents every 5 years to just keep them fresh.
Good to know. So now let's say that I have all those documentation. Who do I give them to?
So you would definitely, want to make sure that you put it in a safe place where spouse and yourself can find it. If something happens, an emergency happens, you want to make sure that you let your kids know where those documents are. And I always say that, especially for power of attorney and healthcare documents, that first backup after spouse, or if you're not married, your very first backup, they should at least have a copy of those important documents. The healthcare documents, you want to give a copy to your physicians. And sometimes clients will say to me, well, what if I change my physician? Do I have, shouldn't I wait and give my new physician my healthcare documents? And my answer is, well, nowadays everything is electronic. Everything is filed in their system. So once you give it to that doctor, it's actually in the system. So it doesn't matter which doctor you go to moving forward, or if you have to go to the hospital, they're going to look it up easily and quickly on their computer, and it's going to be there.
Okay, thank you. So I also noticed that O'Connell Law is offering 2 special plans, especially during this time, coronavirus. And I would like you to briefly talk about that to us. I know that you had Key 3 plan and also a Frontliner Essential plans. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. So, with coronavirus, this pandemic that came out of nowhere, and it's really hit our state and our community hard, and as the entire country. And we just want to make sure that we take care of our own. So we are offering the Key 3 plan for all Massachusetts residents, where you can easily and efficiently, through an online process, get your estate planning, the healthcare documents in place. So your healthcare proxy, the HIPAA, which is the supporting document to a healthcare proxy, giving those agents authority to look at your written medical records, and a living will. That general declaration that says that if death is imminent, you don't want doctors to do life prolonging procedures, etc. on you. So we're offering this to all Massachusetts residents for the low price of $175 only. And then the other plan we're offering is called our Frontliner Essentials plan. This is for all of our amazing frontline heroes, our doctors, our nurses, anyone that works in a hospital setting, first responders, police officers, firemen, store owners, store employees, people that work at the post office, restaurant, people that work at restaurants, all of these people who are working so hard and have been out there taking care of us, making sure that we stay safe and we are able to stay home. We're giving back to them and offering the basic estate planning documents for half off our regular fee. So if you are a single person, you can get all these documents, the wills, the power of attorney, and all 3 of the healthcare documents for $750. And then also, if you're a married couple, we are offering it for the low price of $1,500, which is half off our normal fees.
Well, that's great. I really commend you for doing that, making this offer for the frontliner, who are the true heroes.
They really are. Thank you so much. Yes.
All right. So I'm gonna tune into checking on Facebook to see if they have any question from the audience. So we have Martina who's asking, what's the cost of getting a will, healthcare proxy, and power attorney?
So the normal cost, if you're not a frontliner, a single person, the cost is $1,500. And if you're a married couple, the cost is around $2,600 and around that price, $2,700.
Okay. All right. I don't see any more questions. So
That's because you did such a good job asking such great questions.
I guess so, but like for those people that has any other comments, further questions about estate planning or real estate, just feel free to reach us. As you can see on the slide, you can contact me through phone or email. So I really want to thank you, Faiza, for the conversation today. I know that I'm sure that there is more to talk about estate planning, but we just want to make sure that people know the importance about estate planning during this short period of time.
Absolutely, and thank you so much. I really, really appreciate the opportunity to be able to come on here and have this candid conversation with you and just talk to you about, like I said, why I'm so passionate about this.
Thank you. So
Thank you.
Thanks. Next week, we will have Carmen Sean, who will be sharing with us about the strategy to use life insurance as part of your retirement. So with that, we are signing out. See you next week. Thank you so much.